Have you ever heard of a train station that doesn't appear on any map? A station where trains arrive but never seem to leave. A place passengers stumble upon by accident and never quite find again. Tonight we're going to explore a mystery that blurs the line between reality and legend. This is the story of Kisaragi Station, the train station that leads nowhere. Our journey begins in the late 1950s, in a quiet, mountainous region of Japan, near the Miyazaki prefecture. Locals began whispering about a place called Kisaragi Station. Oddly, this name never appeared in any official railway records. Some people thought it was a temporary stop, built for a specific purpose, and then abandoned. Others dismissed it as a simple rumor, a ghost story told to pass the time for decades. That's all it was, a local legend, a footnote in the region's folklore. But everything changed in the early 2000s, when a chilling series of posts appeared on a popular Japanese internet forum. A user named Hazumi began sharing her experience live, as it was happening. She explained that she had boarded her usual train home after a long day at work, a routine she'd followed countless times. But on this particular night, something was wrong. The train didn't stop where it was supposed to, it just kept going, speeding through the darkness. One by one, the lights inside her carriage flickered, casting long, unsettling shadows. The stations they passed began to look unfamiliar, their signs written in a script she didn't recognize. Her heart began to race. She tried checking her phone, but her GPS had stopped working. That's when she noticed the most disturbing detail of all. The other passengers had vanished. She was completely, utterly alone. When the train finally hissed to a stop, she stepped out onto a small, desolate platform. Hanging from a rusty pole was a sign that read. In her posts, Hazumi described the place as eerily silent. There were no station staff, no ticket booths, and no lights except for a few old, flickering lamps that barely cut through the oppressive darkness. No other trains passed by. She tried calling her family, desperate for a familiar voice, but the call wouldn't connect. Panic setting in, she decided her only option was to start walking along the tracks, hoping to find her way back to civilization. As she updated the forum, people from all over Japan were frantically commenting, glued to her story. They begged her to stay put, to wait for morning, to not wander off into the unknown. But Hazumi was determined. Hours passed. The air grew colder, and the silence of the night was broken by a strange sound, the faint, distant ringing of bells, seeming to echo from a dark tunnel behind her. And then, she heard a voice. Someone was calling her name. Her final messages grew more frantic. She wrote that she saw a figure emerging from the darkness, an old man, walking toward her, ringing a small handbell, and then her post stopped. The live thread went silent. No one ever heard from Hazumi again. Now, skeptics were quick to call it a work of fiction, an elaborate internet ghost story. A creative writer, they argued, had crafted the perfect digital campfire tale. But here's where the story takes a turn, and the line between legend and reality begins to blur. In the years that followed, multiple hikers and travelers in that same region reported strange encounters. They spoke of finding an old, abandoned platform deep in the forest, with no signs of tracks leading to or from it. One man described seeing a rusted metal sign, its letters almost completely faded, but he swore that, for a fleeting moment, he could make out the word Kisaragi. He pulled out his camera to take a picture, but the device suddenly powered off. When he looked up just a few moments later, the entire platform was gone. Railway historians have scoured archives, searching for any record of a station with that name. Nothing has ever been found. But if you talk to some of the older locals in the Hamamatsu area, they'll tell you stories of a lost line, a small railway branch that was supposedly shut down during the war after a catastrophic tunnel collapse. They say that even today, trains passing through that area sometimes shift for a few minutes, briefly appearing on phantom tracks that no longer exist. Some people have even claimed to have been on a train that made an unscheduled stop in the mountains, only for the station's name to completely vanish from their memory the moment they left. This brings us to a detail that makes this mystery even creepier. In 2011, a Japanese paranormal researcher became obsessed with the Kisaragi legend. He decided to trace the rumored location using the coordinates and descriptions from Hasumi's original posts. He traveled to the exact region around the old Hamamatsu line and, then, he disappeared for 2 days. When he finally returned, he was shaken. He claimed to have found something extraordinary, a narrow, overgrown track leading into a dark, forgotten tunnel that wasn't marked on any modern railway map. As he stood at the entrance, he said he could hear the distinct sound of a train passing through the inside, even though the tracks ended right at the tunnel's mouth. The stone walls were covered in strange, weathered symbols. And there, lying half buried in the dirt near the entrance, was an old, cracked wooden sign, written in faded hiragana, "Itd do, Kisaragi, Kisaragi." He tried to film his discovery, but, just like the hiker, his equipment failed. The footage he managed to recover was mostly static, but in the final few seconds before the video cut out, something was visible. Something was moving in the depths of the tunnel, a blurry, human-shaped figure, carrying what looked like an old-fashioned lantern. The rest of the video was completely black. So, what is Kisaragi Station? Many believe it's a kind of portal and in-between place where lost souls or even time itself gets tangled and twisted. They suggest that certain train routes, at specific hours of the night, can accidentally cross over into this forgotten dimension. It's called the station that leads nowhere because once you step onto its platform, there's no ticket for a return trip. Others have a different theory. They think it's a glitch in our perception, an old, forgotten stop that was erased from time but still exists in some hidden layer of reality, waiting for an unsuspecting passenger. So, the next time you find yourself on a late-night train, and it suddenly slows down at a place you don't recognize, take a close look at the station sign. It reads Kisaragi. Whatever you do, don't step out. Stay on that train because the next stop might not be in this world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next mystery. See you next time.